It's about maybe 6-7 minutes long, and I think it's my fourth commission from the National Chamber Choir, and they're such a fantastic, group of musicians to work with, especially, under the direction of Celso Antunes. He has so much energy and so much drive. It's just brilliant, getting the opportunity to work with him. So I feel very privileged, to get the opportunity to write yet another piece for them. And for this commission, Karina Lundstrom said, if you want to do something slightly different, you don't just have to write a piece and hand it over and we'll learn it and then perform it. If you want it to add maybe an instrument to it or just want it to go in a slightly different direction. And over the past number of years, I've collaborated quite a lot with the Irish-American poet Chris Agnew, who's now based in Belfast. And we've worked on pieces before, and I thought, wouldn't it be fantastic to actually work with Chris and for him to write a text specifically for this concert. Oh well, I mean, it's brilliant, to receive, that they come back, because obviously you're doing something right, that they come back and ask you to do another piece for them. And then you're working with a group of singers and a conductor that you've worked with before, and maybe something that didn't work in the previous time, not to make that same mistake. So you very much learn as you go along. And I think the National Chamber Choir are brilliant, they're just so super, and their level of professionalism is fantastic. So it's just such a great joy to work with them, and it's brilliant for a composer, to have that relationship with an ensemble who do keep coming back and saying, "Would you like to write us another piece?" And you're kind of going, you don't even have to ask, always assume that's a big yes. I didn't get into composition at all till I went to Queen's, and it was whenever I was in my third year, composition was offered as one of the, you had a choice of different subjects, and so that was one of the choices you could take. And at that time, Kevin Volans was the composer in residence. And yeah, I mean, I started playing piano when I was about 8 or 9, and kept doing that, and did O-level music and then A-level music, and then ended up at Queen's doing a degree, and it kind of all happened very quickly. But I don't think I ever had any great aspirations to to go into composition. I probably was more following the line of kind of a very general music career, whatever form that would take. So the idea of doing a degree at Queen's was to say, well, do you want to follow the performance? Do you want to go into teaching, and what other things? And I suppose at that time as well, the whole electroacoustic world was really opening up. And I suppose then, whenever I was going into third year and having to take particular choices, make particular decisions, and thinking, well, Kevin Volans, wouldn't it be fantastic, if you're going to start doing something, he's the guy to start doing it with. I still haven't ever composed a quartet, string quartet. It's something not that I'm scared of it, but to me it's like one of the most perfect ensembles. So I'm just waiting for the right quartet to come along at the right time. So to me that's something that's a goalpost out there that's just waiting to happen. And over the past number of years there's been possibilities of things happening with quartets, and they just weren't the particular quartet that I really wanted to work with. And solo piano as well, I've composed very little for solo piano until this year. I did a piece for the AXA International Dublin competition, and I'm not sure if that's because I myself am a pianist, and therefore I feel a little bit restricted by my own possibilities. Whenever I'm doing work, whether it's in education or health, I always go in and start from the same starting points, whatever that is. So I'm obviously working with things I'm comfortable with as a musician, so you just slightly change things depending on the situation that you're working in, whether it's a rhythm thing you're doing or a singing thing that you're doing. It's quite hard actually to explain in words, but from my point of view, I do always start from the same starting points. So you just tweak them to suit the situation that you're working in, and they're the exact same ideas that I would use when I'm sitting at home writing something. Whether I start with a line, I really like the idea of a melodic line, so a series of pitches and what you can do with that. So for me, they're both coming from the exact same place. And then the other project is quite huge, the one that's happening in Donegal. It's to celebrate the 400th anniversary of the Flight of the Earls. And it's all going to happen on Rathmullen Beach in a state-of-the-art marquee that's going to be built there in September 2007. And because it's a public art commission, the money itself is coming from the Fanad Peninsula. So the work that I do will be with community groups and children from Fanad Head. And the idea behind that is, again, working with Kate Newman and also Cachal O'Sharkey, because there's a number of Irish language schools who would really like to write in the Irish language. So Kate and Cachal will generate text based on the themes associated with the Flight of the Earls, migration, identity. And then I'm working in a number of schools and in 2 secondary schools in Milford. And we, as a collective of composers, we will get the whole piece together.